Salut, bonjour, and welcome to episode 19 of francofille, a creative podcast. My name is Devin, and this is where I document all of my fiber-related crafting, especially knitting. You can find me on Instagram at Ravelry at bdevin. You can also find the podcast group on Ravelry if you search francofille in the groups tab. You can also find my patterns on Ravelry if you search, I think, francofille. And my yarn on Etsy if you search francofille. So yeah, I'm basically everywhere, I guess. Thank you so much to all of you for tuning in, whether you are a new viewer or a returning viewer. I really appreciate you choosing to spend some time with me today. Today I think is going to be a quicker episode. I always say that and then I get to editing and it's still an hour long, but yeah, no finished objects, a little bit of when knitting attacks to steal a segment from the Knit More Girls. Little bit of dyeing, bit of a shop update kind of stuff, just yarn related goodness. And I even got a little bit of squishy mail this week, even though I know I said I'm on a bit of a yarn and all things knitting related diet. I couldn't help myself, and I think you guys will understand why. Also, before I jump into the various different parts, I actually did want to redraw the giveaway for the 300 subscriber giveaway. I think like most podcasters, I've got a 30-day or so 4-week policy where if the person who wins a prize doesn't get in contact me after let's say like about 30 days or so, 4 weeks, month, after I draw their name, I'm going to go ahead and just redraw and gift it to somebody else. In part so that, you know, to kind of guarantee that somebody who's actually watching the podcast is, you know, benefiting from the prizes and stuff like that. So since the original winner of the 300 subscriber giveaway never got in touch with me, I'm gonna go ahead and redraw. I already on random.org put in the numbers and stuff since there were 54 entries and I was the first post. I did 2 to 54 and the number is 15, which means, sorry, I'm like clicking on my computer to make sure I've got all of this 100% accurate for you. Post number 15 is Autumn. Oh, hey Autumn. Autumn, who is Coddington on Ravelry. Autumn is actually the one who sent me the bags last week. So the bag that one of my, sorry, there's like yarn currently spilling out of, right? This one, and then actually one of the prizes for our summer knit along. So that works out really well, actually. But yeah, so Autumn, get in contact. I will, yeah, get that mailed out to you. Oh, as a reminder of what the prize actually was, it was an Indiana kind of themed prize. So we've got this really fantastic, sorry, I'm making sure nothing drops out of it, needle cozy, DPN cozy from Kitchen Counter Crafter, right? Hey Jenny, who was kind enough to donate this, right? Provide this as a gift when I, whoop, there's the button that's gonna go back in there, don't worry. When I met up with her at YarnCon, there's also a project progress keeper in here. Right, really cute little coffee cup progress keeper. And then there's also a button that just fell out that I will put back in the DPN cozy. And then there's also this skein of yarn that's hand dyed in Indiana, right, called Indie Steps. And the colorway here, which is really cool, green and gray and like dark blue colorway, is called Thunder on the Dam, right? So hand dyed in Indiana, perfect for socks. 40% superwash merino, 40% baby llama, 20% nylon, and then 414 yards for 100 grams. So yeah, perfect for a pair of socks. So Autumn, send me a message on Ravelry. I know we've been chatting and I'll get that sent out to you. All right, let's go on to works in progress. All right, so I've been knitting more monogamously this week. and some knitting attacks, some knitting problems this week, which kind of reinforced to me why I need to knit more that was not going to be English if I kept going with that, more monogamously than I usually do. Or at least be better about keeping track of my notes in my knitting journal. If I'm going to knit very non-monogamously like I was doing, I'll show you that in a minute. But I will start with the half-finished object that I've got this week. All right, so this is, obviously if it's a half-finished object, it must be a sock or something that comes in twos. And this is my vanilla sock out of Knit Picks Felici that I am knitting up for my sister-in-law. This has also been my hashtag walk and knit sock. So the ends still need to be woven in, but you can see that here. Right. What to say about this? This may not be my favorite Felici colorway, but it's not bad. That's really not resounding praise, huh? I don't know, there's just a little stuff that I wasn't expecting in Felici. Like, there's like a little bit of variegation going on in the two lighter toned stripes. I don't know, I feel like I'd like it if it weren't a commercially dyed yarn. Do you know what I mean? Like, in a Knit Picks yarn, unless it's marked or indicated as being hand dyed or hand painted or something like that, or kettle dyed, I want my colors to be solid. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that's kind of the point, but that's really not what's going on here. There's a lot of variegation that just ends up looking a little dirty. Like, I don't know. And I almost, this is going to sound really stupid, but I kind of feel a little bit betrayed, right? Because I had been singing the praises of Felici and how wonderful it was and how lucky I'd been that I hadn't had any of the problems that some people have had with Felici. Well, it was my turn to have some problems with Felici. Sorry, running out and mailing orders this morning means Starbucks, so chai tea latte. Chai latte, chai tea, slightly redundant. I am having a tea latte. Anyway, but yeah, other than that, I just Kitchenered the toe this morning. So literally just kind of off my needles as a half-finished object, mostly because I wanted to have something to show you after getting very frustrated at myself and my knitting this weekend. But yeah, so I'm going to be casting on the second one of these probably this afternoon while I'm editing the podcast. So what else to say about this? Knit Picks Felici, fanciful colorway. I'm knitting it on like US size 1s. That sounds right. Yes. So yeah, I'm, forcing myself to be better about longer cuffs. Doing a 2x2 ribbed cuff. Usually I do 1x1, but after doing a 2x2 for the Mrs. Weasley's Family Socks, that pattern by Molly of Homespun House, which we will talk about more in a minute. I like the look of this cuff better, and as much as I dislike knitting the longer cuffs, there's something to be said for it. It really does hold itself up better. So there is a point to the torture, I suppose. And then Fish Lips Kiss Heel. All right. It almost works out perfectly to be, one stripe for the back of the heel, one stripe for the bottom. Not quite, as you can kind of see there's still a little bit left of this purple, but yeah, I decided not to mess with it. I just kind of went with it, especially since the next stripe is so dark you almost don't see it. Yeah, we'll see how these turn out. So that has been living in the project bag that I made myself. Rather than go to the other sock that I knit on this week, let's go to some happier knitting. I actually didn't knit a ton this week. I was focused a little bit more on the dyeing. And this week kind of just got crazy on me, so trying to get on top of a lot of stuff before the move, and that meant less time for happy, crafty, fun time. But anyway, I've been working more and more on my Chances wrap, which is that brioche wrap pattern that I'm test knitting for Charlotte of the Charlotte and Gus Knitting Podcast. All right. You can see that I'm using 4 different colors. They are all Knit Picks Capretta, which is their merino cashmere nylon blend. It's a fingering weight yarn. So I've got this yellow one is turmeric, the red is wine, white is cream, and the gray is caviar. So lots of fun going on there. As you can see, this is a shawl pattern or a wrap pattern that involves a lot of changing of colors and different textures and things like that. Lots of different fun with brioche. So I am almost halfway done. I am into the sort of shaping for the middle of the shawl. I've got this wedge to finish and then one more. Yes, one more after this, I believe. I have to look at my notes again. Again, this is why it's important to, or at least for me, to keep a knitting journal and make detailed notes. But I'm having fun with it. It's knitting up a lot quicker than I was I had some issues back here in this wedge, but once I kind of wrapped my mind around the... So, beginning the project, I had to wrap my mind around how brioche works. Halfway through, I kind of had to... Sorry, Lucy is playing with a little foam ball thing and just sprinting around, so if I'm distracted or you hear random stomping and clomping, it's the cat. She's apparently hunting plastic. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, short rows and brioche combined kind of gave me a bit of pause, but I'm now, you can see that I think this is where I was last time you guys saw this, so I've actually gotten a lot knit on it this last week. Huh, more than I thought I did actually, so that's kind of cool. So yeah, you can kind of see how this is working up. I enjoy brioche. I think it's really cool, right? Especially how, I don't know, at the front, when you're doing stockinette brioche, it's real. It has a lot of horizontal movement, kind of horizontal play. It stretches a lot. It ends up almost looking like 1x1 ribbing. The other cool thing is that when you knit what conceptually would be garter stitch in brioche, it actually ends up giving you this 1x1 ribbing, which is really kind of cool. Yeah, so all sorts of goodness going on. And this thing is starting to get real big, which it's eventually going to be about 9 feet long when it's all blocked out, I believe. So this thing is going to be huge, and I cannot wait because I'm going to be spending a lot of time working on a basement, and I think this thing is going to be really good for keeping me warm in a chilly basement. But yeah, having a ton of fun still knitting on this, so that's always good. So this is the Chances wrap, and I believe it's coming out, I don't know, sometime in the next couple weeks. I will keep you guys posted on that one too. But so much fun. Yes. And that is, like I said, living in my project bag that Autumn sent my way last week. So my happy place, all of the muted colors. Very cool. I did get some more knitting done on my Cameo shawl for the Cameo logo knit along, but it's about 4 more rows of the eyelet section, so not enough to necessarily merit showing you guys again this week, but I'm totally on track to get this finished by the end of the month, which is when the Cameo logo shawl knit along ends. So I think I've got one more episode before that ends, maybe. Yes, maybe. Guys, I'm terrible with dates. Sorry, I'm gonna pull up my calendar real quick on my computer because I am terrible. Today is the 20th. Nope, that's August. Guys, what is wrong with me? Today is the 23rd of May. Yes, so next Monday will be Memorial Day. This ends the 31st of May. So yeah, I will show you guys again the prizes for the knit along, both the chatter thread and the finished object thread, next episode. And if you're curious about what those all are, I also showed them all off in the episode from the first week of May. I'm gonna guess it's episode 16, but we've got 2 skeins of yarn from Nicole of Hue Loco. Also have a skein of yarn from Beautiful Mess Yarn Works, Jamie, who is a fantastic indie dyer. And she also included a notions nanny, so a little bag for your knitting notions, which is really cool. And it pairs really nicely with the skein of yarn too, which is kind of cool. We've got that. We've got some Progress Keepers from Sucre Sucre Miniatures that were donated really generously by Melissa of the Spicy Homemaker podcast. No, I feel like I'm missing something. That's really bad. There may be something else. Definitely go episode 16, and I will show you again next week too. But yeah, so that's what's going on with that. My problematic knitting this week. So a little bit of backup. I had a surprise visit up to Chicago this weekend to see my parents and my brother. My dad doesn't tend to get a ton of weekends off in his line of work where he's actually completely free. Between his weird work schedule, the various committees he sits on, and some of his side projects, he usually is always busy. But he actually had a weekend off, so I decided to go up there and hang out with him and my mom and my brother, especially because I don't have a ton of other stuff going on right now. May as well benefit from that and go see my family for a little bit. So rather than bring all of my knitting projects with me, I figured I would just bring the 2 pairs of socks that I'm working on, because I can knit on those and have a conversation with the family and all that kind of stuff, and it's not disruptive or anything, and they're super portable. So yes, I am being smart. I am planning. This is great. It happens so rarely. But yeah, I get up there and I, like I showed you, I got that first sock of the vanilla yarn, or the vanilla, got the first vanilla sock out of the Knit Picks Felici finished, right? So that was good. And I went to go work on my Mrs. Weasley's family sock, the one that has, guys, it's such a simple pattern. It's such a simple pattern, and it's so well written. My issues with this pattern, with this pair of sock, literally nothing to do with either the yarn or the pattern. I am just not paying enough attention to what I'm doing and working on too many things at once. And it's a shame, because these are awesome, beautiful socks. I'm so fed up with myself about these. So this is the finished sock that I showed you guys, I think, last week, right? I'm knitting this out of Brew City Yarns in the Toasted Marshmallow colorway, and then Hot Socks in navy, right? Really nice. The pattern is super simple and really effective. Looks great in this yarn, right? And last week I showed you I was super proud that I cast on the next one right away and was good to go and everything was going great and yay, fun. I'm finally over all of my issues with the sock, and hey, I even remembered to knit the sole of the foot stockinette. Isn't that brilliant? I'm so annoyed about this. Because it's nobody's fault but my own. I have no one to blame for the issues that I'm having with this, except for myself. Anyway, so I'm knitting and knitting and knitting on it, and kind of looking at the way the colors are pooling together, or striping up, or whatever they're doing. And I'm realizing, this is all yesterday morning, yes, Sunday morning, that they're not pooling the same way as they did on the first sock, right? In the first sock, you get these almost clear stripes every 4 or 5 rows. And this one, it's not really spiraling the same way. Of course, now that I show you here, it almost looks like they are. But the dark gray, they're showing up in shorter bursts and more frequently, whereas here it's almost stretching out and over a couple rows looks like it's like striping for real, instead of just kind of like showing up and then disappearing again, like it's doing here. So I pause and count. And I swear when I cast on, I counted how many stitches. At least I think I did. I wish I did. I clearly must not have, because this sock, I knit over 72 stitches. This sock is 64 stitches. Now, mind you, my vanilla socks that I just showed you are 64 stitches. When I knit on size 1s or size 1.5 needles, right, I knit a 64 stitch sock. These, however, are on size 0. Realizing that I was going to have an issue with it being too small. On the first sock, I sized up, right? I went to 72 stitches. Was not paying full attention when I cast on the second sock. And I'm now a good chunk of the way through the foot. I have to rip it out because it is too small. Literally no one's fault but my own, right? It's not an issue with the pattern. The pattern is fantastic. And again, so incredibly simple. Like, this is such an easy knit, and I've still managed to find a way to have issues with it. So this for me is proof of why I either need to knit fewer projects at once, right? I need to be bouncing around less so I can be more attentive to my knitting, or take better notes in my knitting journal and then actually refer back to them when I'm casting on the second sock. Had I done either of those things, I would have saved myself this headache. I wish I could claim that I am a perfect knitter and I never make stupid mistakes. That's clearly not true. And I don't know. I feel like there's some value in people owning up to their own mistakes and things like that. Especially because I feel like in a lot of... Maybe I'm just a... Nope, not gonna go there. Just saying that I feel like a lot of times we tend to not share when we've made mistakes. And you can get this... It's really easy to get a false sense of everyone else is a better X, Y, or Z than I am. I think I make just as many mistakes as anybody else. I'm just gonna totally own up to them, because why not, right? That's the purpose of the podcast on my end, is to document what I'm doing, and I made a mistake, so I need to document that. So yeah, accountability buddies. I'm holding myself accountable here, right? And saying, I can't finish that expression in mind. I do not swear I try my best not to swear on the podcast. I messed up. I messed up. I will fix. However, I think I may put these socks on pause for a little bit because the thought of ripping these back again right now is just a little bit more than I can handle. So they're socks. They're simple socks. This should not be this difficult, but I just need to pay attention to what I'm doing is the moral of the story. So learn from my mistakes and either don't have too many projects on the needles at once and pay attention to what you're doing, or have a knitting journal and actually use it if you find yourself in a similar position to me. Oh well. That's it for my knitting this week. No spinning. Again, with prepping for the move and all that kind of stuff, I've kind of, unfortunately, my poor spinning wheel has been neglected for another week, but maybe next week. We'll see. All right, real quick, I wanted to talk about some squishy mail that I got this week. It actually just showed up today, which is really exciting. But I gotta show you, I'm so excited. I snagged a bag from Shannon of Socksetras. First Etsy store update, right? And this, I saw it, it spoke to me. This should not be a surprise to any of you, right? Because it is neutral and blue. And linen at that, right? Like, it's the simplest, most beautiful bag. It's gorgeous. Absolutely my happy place. And it is the perfect size for a pair of socks. So I may not be casting on a pair of socks for a minute. Yeah, I saw her. I was watching one of her periscopes maybe like 2 weeks ago when she was going over all the different bags that were going to be in her shop update, and saw this one and knew that I had to have it, right? And yes, I am doing my best to not purchase very much right now, but it was just so cute, so perfect. And you know, I want to support my fellow podcasters and Etsy store owners, so yeah, had to get it. And love that really nice solid drawstring on this. Really well made. Really impressed by that. So well done, Shannon, and thank you so much for your little note that you included in the package. So I've got a misfit skein of Summer in Provence here that I balled up, and I'm gonna keep for myself. I've been doing my best to not just knit all of my own hand-dyed yarn. I'm like desperate to like cast all of them on, but we know I have an issue with startitis and things not getting finished or getting messed up. So I'm allowing myself to keep one though. I can't wait to knit this up eventually, and it's going to live in my Socksetra bag until I do, instead of in my stash, because I think that'll be just happiness. So very excited. Almost forgot to mention, yes, the second knit along for the podcast is starting next week. Yeah, a week from today. So starting Memorial Day, which is the 30th of May. We're going to do our Summer of Sock Yarn knit along. I opened up a chatter thread in the Ravelry group, but right, the actual knit along starts on Memorial Day and is going to run till Labor Day, so that's September 5th. And the only rule really is you can knit whatever you want as long as it's out of a sock yarn or fingering weight yarn. I've decided I am going to allow already started projects, so whips are going to be allowed. As long as the whip is, let's say, a quarter done or less. I'm not going to be too strict about policing that, but yeah. And I mean, considering you can enter as many projects as you want during that time, I mean, I don't really see a huge problem with that, but yeah. So more details on that next week when it actually starts, but kind of fun. Last bit to tell you about. Wow, this actually is going to be a shorter episode this week. That's kind of exciting. Is basically an update from my dye pot. Little bit of shop update, but also just kind of playing around and dyeing up stuff for myself too. So let's start with the stuff I dyed up for myself. I got 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn from in my last big wholesale order of Bare Yarn, because I used to love knitting shawls out of lace weight yarn, but haven't done it in a while. And they had a thing going for 2 skeins of merino silk blend lace weight, so I decided to grab some of that and decided I want to do a 2-color shawl in lace weight yarn at some point this summer. So I kind of dyed up some that's a little bit more orange and tonal. All right, you can see there's definitely some darker areas and some lighter areas, some that are a little bit more on the yellow side. But this, I'm in love with this. I cannot wait to knit this up. Doesn't have a colorway name or anything like that yet. I've got notes. It could be a repeatable colorway if people actually are interested in it. But for the time being, it's just for me. But yeah, so there's this one. And I'm pairing this with one that you'll see in a minute, I definitely made repeatable, which is this really cool gray and blue. Not really gray and blue, but kind of a grayed blue, like a gray blue color. Again, it's another somewhere between semi-solid and tonal colorway, right? Where you get areas where it's a little bit darker, areas where it's a little bit lighter. Right, you can see that really well there, right? And so I think these two paired together are going to be a really gorgeous shawl, right? And it's a lot of yarn. It's 100 total of 200 grams. Each one of these is 100 grams, and I think there's almost 800 yards in each one, right? So very big and fluffy. Yeah, I'm excited to get this knit up, but I'm forcing myself to hold off until I clear some more stuff off the needles. I'm also planning on coming up with my own design for this one, so I also want to get a couple of my other designs that I've started off the needles and kind of written up and on their way to being test knit before I cast this bad boy on. So it may be a little while before I actually use this, but in the meanwhile, it's just going to sit next to me and make me happy. And it's so soft and squishy. I think I don't know. I'm tempted to order more of this and offer it up in the shop, but I don't know if people actually want lace weight yarn. I feel like most people just want to knit out of fingering weight for shawls and things like that. But if you're interested, if you would be interested in some hand dyed lace weight yarn, let me know. Send me a message, because I would like this. I can't wait. Have not let myself like cuddle up with this yarn yet, because I know the more I do, the more I'm gonna want to cast it on. But it's so soft and so squishy. Oh, it's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good. Okay, I have to put it down. I have to put it down or else I'm just gonna obsess about it for the rest of the day. And then I also played around with another technique for speckling. And so I kind of wanted to play around with a yarn that was going to be speckled, but then also have some solid or more solid sections. Wasn't entirely thrilled with the way the solid sections turned out on this, so I'm not offering this one up on the store. But I may do more like this now that I've kind of thought about the process a little bit more. yeah, have a better idea of how I would go about doing it this way, but it's just, yeah, nothing crazy. The speckles are the same color as the more solid section. So if I unscan it real quick, right, you can see that. It's gonna end up like, be kind of cool. So yeah, I may play around with this and maybe eventually offer something like this up in the store too. But yeah, so I did this one and the 2 lace weight in one day, and then was so obsessed with the way that the semi-solids turned out on the lace weight that I decided I needed to do some more of those on a fingering weight base. I want to make the bases I actually sell in the store and offer them up to you guys too, because I'm just so excited about them, and that is kind of my happy place with yarn. I definitely, my favorite yarns to knit with are tonals and semi-solids, so I was a little bit surprised that I don't really carry much like that in the store. But also because I wanted something that I could pair with my brighter colors, right? The more colorful colorways. Because I feel like there are a lot of projects that call for 2 skeins of yarn or something like that, and like a variegated and a semi-solid just kind of work really well for a lot of things. So I did more of that same gray blue that I did for the lace weight, and I'm calling this one Slate Roof, because it kind of reminds me of the color of the slate roofs used, you find on a lot of the castles in France. Kind of up in the northern central part of the country, you find a lot of slate roofs. And actually on homes too in certain areas. But yeah, it's that same sort of gray-blue color. Really excited by how this turned out. Definitely a tonal colorway. And then the other one I'm calling Dijon, right? Kind of a mustardy yellow color. I think they would pair amazingly well together, right? What a great grello combination is that, right? How cool would that be together? But also, I think these would pair really well together with some of the kind of crazy colorful colorways. So this is Syrah, right? That sort of super speckled colorway. I think pairing that with either Dijon or Slate Roof would be really nice. I think Slate would also go really well with Summer in Provence. Right? How do I get that here? I'll hold it back a little bit so you can kind of get more of an idea of the different colors. And also, I think this would also look really good with Chagall. Wow, mind blank there. Right. Multiple colors. That would look cool. I think Chagall would actually look really good with mustard too. Yeah, how cool would that be? That would be a really gorgeous looking shawl, I think. But yeah, and Chagall again is another really colorful speckled yarn too. This one turned out really cool because the speckles on it are actually super tiny, which is kind of neat. But yeah, so semi-solids now available, or tonals I guess, now available in the store. These are both on the chaussette base, the sock base, which is the 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And then it's 463 yards for 100 grams. Okay, so again, that would look really cool. Just saying. Oh, I don't know. So yeah, so these will be available in the next shop update, as well as all of these. I think most all of my original one-offs are sold at this point. I think I may still have a skein of the Roussillon Sunset, that variegated red, yellow, orange with black speckling is also still left in the store, and that's 15% off. Making room for new colors. But yeah, I'm gonna do that was almost English. I'm gonna have my shop update, I think today's Monday, Tuesday, so tomorrow at noon Eastern. That would be May 24th. So if you're interested, I'll announce it on Instagram too, and things like that. And yeah, at any point, if you don't manage to catch the actual shop update, stuff stays up, so you don't have to really worry about that. But if you're interested in when you can get those, that Dijon, I gotta pick one pronunciation and run with it. Let's just go with Dijon. That's got a known Americanized pronunciation. Yeah, we'll just go with that. Dijon and Slate Roof will both be available this week. So yeah, check it out if you're interested. So we're moving, you know that. And we're actually closing on the house this Friday, which was just a week earlier than we initially were anticipating, but yeah, I am so excited. We are just kind of so eager to get into this house. And just kind of the way things ended up working out, we're closing a week early. We're not sure when exactly we're going to actually be moving into the house. The sellers want a couple extra weeks to get packed up and moved in, so obviously I will keep you guys posted as during the moving process. I may stick to once a week podcasting, and they may be shorter episodes, or I may go to every 2 weeks depending on what all I'm getting done knitting wise. Jordan's teaching this summer, so he is staying very busy right now, so I'm going to be doing a lot of the packing. So since I'm packing and going to be driving up there and moving stuff and all that kind of stuff and starting the process of painting and all that, I may not have as much time for knitting. So we'll see. We'll see how it works out. As always, I will keep you posted for updates and things like that on when episodes come out. Obviously subscribe. And also follow me on Instagram, as I will let you know what's going on with podcasting and things like that, over there too. So probably the two best places. But yeah, so with the move, we're going to be closer to Chicago, and so closer to family, both mine and Jordan's. And what else? During the trip up to Chicago this weekend, my parents and I went up to the Art Institute, which has always been my favorite place. Hands down my favorite museum. Yeah, probably my favorite museum in the world, like favorite museum I've ever been to. And one that I just always go back to, as many times as I possibly can. And Dad was kind enough to actually put me on the annual membership this year, so I've got my own card. And now that we're going to be so much closer, and actually the town Jordan's working in has a train that runs from the town to Chicago, and conveniently enough gets off the station in Chicago the train kind of ends at. The terminus, I guess, is right next to the Art Institute, so I may be making day trips up there to go hang out all of the time, or some of the time, we'll see. Yeah, it's just kind of always been my happy spot. I don't know if I've talked about that at all. I know I've mentioned it on Instagram before. I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast, but yeah, it was just kind of always my favorite place to go. Both as a kid, and then once I got to high school aged, and started making trips into the city with my friends without parental chaperones or anything like that, we would go to the Art Institute a lot. They used to do free for Tuesdays, so every Tuesday you could get into the Art Institute for free, back when I was in high school, and we would go all the time. To the point where, like, senior ditch day, which I don't know if that's a thing everywhere or if it's still a thing, but it was definitely a thing when I was in high school, where the entire senior class basically just ditched school one day. Me and my super awesome nerdy friends all ditched school and took the train downtown and went to the Art Institute. It was such a good day. And they were having an exhibition celebrating the 100th birthday of Ansel Adams, so that wasn't something we were going to be missing, obviously. Who doesn't love super majestic nature photography? I mean, really. But yeah, it's just such a cool place. Sorry, I'm gonna stop now before I just keep going on and on about everything that I love about the Art Institute, but if you're ever in Chicago and have a chance to go visit, absolutely go see the Art Institute. Yeah, there's so much cool stuff. There's something for everybody there. Really amazing, amazing stuff. And the people watching too, if you're into that. Who doesn't love that? Amazing. But yeah, so I'm excited because I'm going to definitely be going to the Art Institute a whole lot more now that we're going to be closer. So one more thing to look forward to with the move. But yeah, so with closing on the house in 4 days, it's going to be another busy week. It also means that I need to start packing this place up. Like looking around the living room and all of the stuff that needs to get packed up. I might have a busy couple weeks ahead of me, so wish me luck, please. I'm gonna need it. But yeah, all that being said, I'm gonna leave you guys here. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching, and bon tricot, happy knitting. See you next week.